Hi guys, welcome back to the session. This session will provide you a complete guide on datetime variable in UiPath. This datetime variable enables you to store information about any date and time. So let's get started by taking a very simple scenario in UiPath. So let's say that you want to capture the current date and time using UiPath. So how to do this one in UiPath, let me show you. First of all, you will create a variable of type date and time. So let me show you how to do that. So for that, create a variable, give a name, let's say dt, and here you will choose the variable type. Now since the date time variable is not present in the list, so hit browse and search for system.datetime. So here is the variable type system.datetime. Select this one and hit OK. Now we created this variable. After that, we'll add an assign activity. Not here, let me delete this one. Here I'm going to add the assign activity, and here I'm going to use the datetime.now property, which is going to fetch the current date and time. So in the value, I'm going to use this property datetime.now. Hit OK, and in the to section I'm going to provide this date time variable which we just created. So this datetime.now property will store the current date and time inside this datetime variable. And the thing to notice here is that the current date and time will be the date and time which is present in your local system. Now to display it in the output panel, I'm going to use this write line activity. Let me add it here, and here I'll provide the date time variable which we created, and here I'll have to convert it into string to display it in the output panel. So hit dot and select toString from here. So let me quickly run this project to see how it works. And it is over. Now if you move to the output panel, so here you see it displayed the current date and time, that is February 6, 2021, and the time. Now here if you notice this expression, the expressions which we used here have provided the current date and time in a specific format, that is month, day, year, and the time as hour, minute, and second. Now let's say that you want a different format of date and time to be printed here. Let's say that you want to print the day first, then month, and then year. So how to do that, how to print a specific format? So for that, what you will do, datetime.toString, and here you will provide your required format. So let me open this one, and here I'm going to provide the format. So let's say that you want to provide the day first. So in the double quotes you will provide dd for date, then you can provide slash or colon, whatever you want. Then the month, make sure that you provide the month as 2 times m in caps on. This caps on m in caps on stands for month, and then the year as YYYY. Then for the time you will provide hour, HH, minute, and second. Now this date time variable not only stores the values of date, month, year, hour, minute, and second, it also stores some other information which you will get here. So this date time variable stores a number of other information as well, which is listed here. Let's say that you want to also fetch the value of milliseconds, for which you will use 3 times f. So let me add the value of milliseconds also here. So for that I will put colon again, and here I will provide 3 times f, which is going to fetch the millisecond value as well. So this is the expression in which we want the current date and time to be fetched. We have provided this one. Let's hit OK and let's run this project one more time. And it is done. Now if you move to output panel, now here you see the format has been changed as per our requirement. Here the day is displayed first, day, month, year, hour, minute, second, and the millisecond as well. Now moving ahead, let's learn how to add some days or remove some days from this current date and time. So let's open this sequence again. Now to add some days, what I'm going to do in this value, I'm going to hit dot, and here we have several methods to add. So here you see we can add days, hours, milliseconds, minutes, and so on. So you can choose any one of the method according to your requirement. Let's say that I want to add 2 days to the current date and time. So I'll select this function add days, and inside the brackets I'll provide the value as 2. Let's hit OK and let's run this one. This time it's going to display the date and time which is 2 days ahead of the current date and time. So let's hit save and run this one more time. Let's move to output panel, and here you see that today's date is 6th of February and now it is displaying the 8th of February. So it displayed the date and time which is 2 days ahead of the current date and time. Now to move to the back day, what you will do, let me show you. In the value, you'll remove this, not completely remove. Let's say that you want to move 2 days back of the current date and time. You'll simply provide -2 here since we wish to move backwards. So this is the expression. Let's hit OK and I'll run this project one more time. So now if you move to output panel, here you see it displayed the date and time which is 2 days back of this current date and time, that is 4th of February 2021, and this is the time. So as of now, the expression is displaying both the date and the time. Let's say that you want to fetch only the value of date or only the value of time. So how to use that one, how to make this possible? So for that, I'm going to use the expression. I will remove this one completely. Let's take the current date and time. Hit OK. This expression is going to provide the current date and time, and in the right line I'm going to use dt dot to short date string or dt.to short time string. So if you want to fetch only the value of date, you will use this function, that is to short date string, or if you want to fetch only the value of time, you will use this function, that is to short time string. So as of now, let's use this function and let's hit OK. Now if I run this project, this is going to return only the value of current date. So let's run this to see how it works. So move to the output panel, and here you see only the current value of date got returned, not the date and time, as we provided here the function to short date string. Now here if you use to short time string, here it's going to return only the value of current time. Now moving ahead, as of now, what we learned, we created the date time variable and we performed several operations on that date time variable. Now let's say that you have a date time value not in the form of date time variable but in the form of a string. So let's learn how to convert a string variable to a date time variable. These cases will be very helpful, especially if you are working on Excels, because in Excel files you will get the value of dates as strings, and to perform the date time operations on these strings, you'll have to first convert it into date time variable to proceed further. So first of all, I'm going to show you with help of a string variable, then I'm going to create end-to-end project using this Excel file. So let's move here, and here I'm going to create a string variable. I'm going to provide the value variable name as dt as string, and here I'm going to provide a default value as 05/11/2020, and this is a variable of type string. Now we'll have to convert, we want to convert this string to a date time variable. So how to do that? So for that also I'm going to use a assign activity here. And to convert this string variable to a datetime variable, I'm going to use the parseExact function here. So in the value, I'm going to provide datetime.parseExact function. Now this function takes several parameters. So first parameter it will take as the string which you want to convert to datetime. So here I'll provide the dt as string variable. Then the next parameter it takes is the format of this string. So this format I have taken as date month and year. So inside the double quotes, I will provide the exact similar format dd slash mm for month slash year. Now the next parameter which it takes is the provider, which is the culture information. So I'll provide here system dot globalization, which defines culture related information including language, country, region, calendar in use, etc. So system.globalization.culture info, which provides information about specific culture. Hit dot, and now I'll choose invariant culture, which is a culture insensitive. So I'll provide this value here, and with this our function is ready to be used. This function is going to convert a string variable to a datetime variable. So hit OK, and here we'll have to provide a datetime variable. So create another datetime variable here. I'm going to provide as dt1. So here I'll have to convert it into a datetime variable. So with this, we converted the string to a datetime variable. We can also display it in the output panel. So for that, I'll use the right line again. And here in the text, I will provide string converted to datetime. And I'll provide this datetime variable, which we just created. And we'll have to convert it into string. So hit dot and select toString from here. So let's run this project now to see how it works. And it is over. If you move to output panel, here it displays string converted to datetime. That is, the string variable which we created here is converted to the datetime. And one thing to notice here is that since we have provided only the value of date, not any time, that's why it has taken by default the midnight time. Now moving ahead, let's work on this end-to-end project with this Excel data which we have. So in this Excel file, I have some invoice numbers and their due dates. In this project, for each of these rows, we'll have to check whether the due date has passed or not. If the due date has passed, we are going to write the status here that the due date has passed. If the due date has not passed, we are going to write the status here due date has not passed. So let's build this project in UiPath. So for that, move to UiPath. First of all, I'm going to add one more sequence here, set as start node. And first activity I'm going to use here is to read the data from this Excel file, for which I'm going to use this read range activity from the workbook package. And here I will provide the workbook path. So hit browse and select this dates file. I have stored this Excel file in the project folder. So select this one, hit open. The sheet name of this file is sheet 1. So sheet name will be sheet 1, and we do not require to provide the cell range. We want to read the entire data. Since this sheet contains headers, we will go with this checked option of add headers, and the data which will be read from this file, this complete data will be stored in a data table variable. So create an output data table variable here. I'll give the name as Excel data. Now for each of these rows in this file, we'll have to check the values of due dates, whether it has passed or not, for which we'll have to add a loop. So for which I'm going to use the for each row activity from the data table. Let me add it here. And here for each row in Excel data table, which we just created here. So for each row in Excel data, we'll have to check the value of due dates one by one. So let's first fetch the value of due dates, for which I'm going to use the assign activity. Now the due dates are present inside this current row, and the column name will have to provide here due date. So let me provide the due date here as column name and convert it to string. So hit dot and select to string. and we'll have to assign it to a variable. Now this will be a string variable, so I'm going to create a variable as due date as string. So as of now, we captured the value of due date in the form of string. Now to perform any date time operations, as we discussed, we'll have to convert this string variable to a date time variable. So for which I'm going to add another assign activity and use the parseExact function again. So here I'm going to use the parseExact function, which is datetime.parseExact, and it takes the parameters. So we'll provide the first parameter as the string, which we want to convert to datetime variable. So the string will be due date as a string. This will be the variable, and here we'll have to provide the exact format of this string. So the format here is date, month and year. So I'm going to provide the exact format here. Inside the double quotes, I'm going to provide DD, MM, then year. Then provide the culture info, that is system dot globalization dot culture info dot invariant culture. Now this expression will convert the string to a datetime variable. So hit OK and provide a variable, provide the value of this datetime to a variable here. So here I'll create the variable as due date, and here we'll have to convert this due date to the variable type as system.datetime. So as of now, we got the value of due dates. We will get the value of due dates one by one as the loop iterates in this due date variable. Now we'll have to check whether the due date has passed or not, for which I'm going to use the if activity here. Let me add it, and here we'll provide the condition to check whether the due date has passed or not. So here I'll provide the condition as if due date is less than datetime dot now, which holds the current date time. So if the due date, which will be these values one by one as loop iterates, so if these due dates are less than the current date and time, then I'm going to write in the status column as due date has passed. So here I'm going to add another assign activity, and inside the row status column I'm going to write due date has passed. If this condition is false, that is due date is greater than the current date, that means due date has not passed. So here I'm going to write, let me just copy this one. So inside the status column I'm going to write due date has not passed. So for each row is ready. For each row in this Excel data, that is the data table, for each of the rows in the data table, it's going to check whether the due date has passed or not, and accordingly it's going to write the due date has passed or due date has not passed in the status column. At the end, we'll have to write this data table inside the Excel as well. So I'm going to add the write range activity. Let me add this write range activity here. So hit browse and select this dates. Sheet name will be sheet 1, and we'll start writing from A1 cell, and the data table we want to write is Excel data, and the sheet contains headers, so I'll check this option of add headers. So our project is ready now. I'll quickly run this one to see how it works. Let me close this file. Once the project is over, we should have the status mentioned here, whether the due date has passed or not. So let's close this one. Let's hit save, and let's quickly run this project. And my project is over. Let's move to the project folder to see the results. So see, the status column got written. Let's take the example that is 15/10/2020, that is 15th of October 2020. Since this due date has passed, this due date is less than the current date, that's why the status is mentioned as due date has passed. And this 28th of February 2021, this is a future date, this due date has not passed, so the status got written as due date has not passed. So in this way you can work with the date time variables. You can perform several operations on the date time variables in UiPath. This is going to be very helpful in your projects. And that's all for this session, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a like and share with your friends. Hit the bell button to get the updates on the latest videos. If you have not yet subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to our channel as well, and I'll see you soon in the next one. Bye bye.